Hello. It's Pigsy doing another video. I put a load of moisturiser in my hair and it's really soft. It's nice. It's nice when you do it because you can feel its silkiness. I end up drying it by whipping my head round. Just whip it left and right. So anyway, yeah, it's just some observations. So I've done some of this online communication. You don't really know, and I've had some odd scenarios in that a few women I've been talking to want to just be friends, and it's a bit unusual. I think, okay, so you've been put into what they call the friend zone, which is no problem. You just want to know that you're there and why you're there, really. You don't want anyone to say, well, I'd like to be friends, but then maybe I might want to be more later, because it's kind of false hope, and you realise that you're being played, really. That's what it is. You know, it's why some beta males are sort of hanging on, doing little favours, trying to please people, because of the idea is there could be something there, but it's a total false delusion, because it won't work out. That's why. It's just you end up thinking, oh, so you don't love me. Or don't be shy if you get hurt. It's just the way we are, you know. I'm not sort of picking anything of the sexes. It's just I'm picking up things. And the other thing as well, people might write sad stories. So they might write this story like, oh, well, I had this trouble when I was younger, and then I had this other trouble with this ex-boyfriend and stuff. What they're doing is they're baiting you to see if you're a beta male, because of your responses will be, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, and so on. But if you make too much of a fuss, there are things that are unattractive, like if you try to fix people or solve their problems. They say, oh, well, you know, he was terrible, I'm nothing like him, and you know, I can really help you, whatever, build your future and all these sorts of things. But you realise that people are playing different games, different functions. And sure, some might have had a hard time, but like someone wrote to me, and basically I think she's building her future. But she told me a couple of sad stories. One being an orphan, and trying to get to grips with that. She has a job working in a strip bar, but it's to pay university fees or whatever she's doing to go on from there. So she's working, which is cool. I mean, that's it. But the first letter was like, don't judge me, and I didn't. It's quite easy to read, you know, and it also suggests, well, maybe some other men have sort of written weird stuff to her and it's upset her. And to be honest, it's just a job. You know, I've been to a place when I went to Ukraine. It's got a big business, the sex industry. So they complain about sex tourism, but the reality is it brings a hell of a lot of money into it. The main thing is that you're honest. If that's what you're looking for, fine. If you've made out someone that you're going to be this lovely bloke who's going to whisk her away and build a life together, and then you just use her and then drop her like a bomb, and that's not so great. I mean, I did see this story about someone who basically you'd go off to Cuba or whatever, and he had a wife, and then he would just pick up some girl, get her pregnant, and then he'd move on. It was like some game. I mean, what the hell is he doing? Is he no social responsibility there? Because he's just popping out kids and wrecking his women's lives. They've got to raise children as single parents in a country doesn't have the welfare state in place. I don't know how they function. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they wanted that. They might say, well, you know, I do like him. But I guess the idea was because they loved him, they had his child, that he still might leave his wife for him and all this other stuff. And it's just like, you know, look at how it's being played, the game, and the rules of the game. Ideally, yeah, if your game's over, maybe you give up on things and be an honest person, I guess. Be an honest bloke. But there's no bloody guarantee. And women play the same similar sorts of games. So like I say, you've got stories of sadness and misery for men to feel sorry in some way, and then it compromises you and it reveals who you are. But if that same person, say the woman was writing to someone who's a bit more of an alpha male, she wants to sell herself as a bit more competitive, outgoing, you know, she's not going to be selling the sad story, because he's not going to look at it and think, what the hell, and just walk away from it. So the only thing it does it does cause is red flags. So if somebody says all this, they've had a really tough time, they don't trust men, other things, so, well, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. But then what it lays out is the groundwork is, okay, then, you know, it's okay to be friends. If something else develops, that's fine. But, I mean, they're telling you what they're saying is they're not ready for a relationship because they've got all this ongoing stuff. And, I mean, a bit like for me, I'd never have to mention about my ex-partner to anyone really, because I'm well over it. And it doesn't, telling someone something that went wrong makes you look like you're a part of that problem in some ways, or it didn't all working out. It's nice if you learn a lesson from an experience, but if you're selling it, I mean, if there's a selling point, it doesn't really sell. You know, I had a terrible trauma when I was younger. It's still like, okay, well, did you see any help for that? Because someone then is diverting you away from their support. And so how you want to play that out as a beta male and sort of an alpha. And I mean, same for guys. If you're writing to a woman and you're more of a beta male, telling them hard luck stories is probably not attractive. It's probably best just to forget about them, just get on with it, or keep it short and sweet. So saying, yeah, I understand because I got divorced. You know, I understand how that works, and leave it at that. It just shows that you're maturely dealing with it, rather than, you know, I had a terrible divorce. This happened to me. That happened to me. I mean, making them feel sorry for you is not going to make them feel build a strong relationship, but it does reveal the character of the person, and that's it really. That's probably one of the key factors. So, you know, at the moment I've got like a few interests that I'm sort of pushing on and see what happens. I've increased the cyber security into my phone device because people wanted to use WhatsApp and other means to contact me, and the only issue with that, they ask you lots of private information, and then they tried to hack these accounts, or they set up cloning, which is what's happened to my mum. I think something's cloned. Now she's sort of, you know, emails. What they've done, outgoing email, they've collected the address, and then somebody clones the type of email and then writes it. The spelling might be different, and it will say, hey, have you checked out this site before? And it might be like your brother or your sister or your mother or something. Somebody's sent you an email and it's not true. They've compromised. It's not just that they've sort of looked at the address and copied it. It may be that they've intercepted traffic. So you may want to look at changing your passwords. It's unlikely they've hacked your actual account completely, otherwise they'd have a complete address would look exactly the same. But what they've done is they've acted as a third party. So incoming mail they're reading, and they're able to send outgoing mail on a similar address. So it's just something to be aware of, really. Because I've seen things people say, well, how do you clone WhatsApp? It's meant to be encrypted both ends. I mean, after a while, once you start sending pictures and other things, they've got your phone address. They just need to set themselves up to intercept it in some ways, or give out the information and pretending it is the phone and other things like that. Some weird cloning methods. I mean, it's way beyond my tech, but I have an understanding of the basics. So that was the first thing, up your security if you're contacting people you don't know so well and you want to go hang out and on Google and whatever. And also check out the profile, like the countries they're from. I get so fed up with people saying they're from here, or if they live in an area they claim it's a war zone. You can look it up and think, well, actually it's not. You know, people can travel there, and if they're a bit iffy about that, I say, well, you're obviously not serious. And then equally, if you've got a relationship and you think, well, maybe it's not good to be serious, best to keep them in that kind of limbo. So, I mean, I had someone, and basically she's going to university. She's likely to be in the UK at some point. That's what she's claiming, and that we could just sort of like hook up as friends or whatever, and that's it really. She's not really something too serious because of a past experience. And you think, well, then if you've got past experience issues, you're not quite over it, and so therefore you can't build something fresh on something that's kind of already there from the, you know, the broken foundations of a previous relationship. This is why steering away from certain things like step relationships, because they're complicated ones, and you're going to have to deal constantly with issues that you might not have to. I think I mentioned before there was a chap and he had full powers of attorney over his wife, so he divorced her. he still keeps control of it, and then he married another woman, and they probably all live in the same household, or at least he brings his new wife to see his old wife. The old wife's got Alzheimer's and all sorts of things and some other health problems, like she had a stroke or something. The poor woman. I mean, when you sign up, you say for sickness and in health. You don't say, oh well, if you get ill, I'm just going to marry another woman and then just park you to one side. It's very selfish, and also that woman's she's completely bonkers, because he's got 2 kids or 2 or 3 kids with her. He has to pay to look after his ex-wife. So there's loads of money issues, debt issues. I mean, I don't know why she does it. I think that the idea of being lonely has driven her nuts, and she's just run down this path. So these are different kind of relationship stories. You don't necessarily have to have loads of relationships to understand the dynamics. You just need to read and study them. That's one of the key factors. And it's more common with women, because like you've got the in certain female magazines, more social driven, social sciences are in it, and there's also a lot of psychology in it that's different. Men's might be more materialism, mechanics, you know, things like exercise down the gym, all these sorts of things, but they're not the same level as what the females are studying, their counterparts. And so that's why they're quite a lot of a disadvantage doing that in that situation. So yeah, maybe the thing is to write some dummy emails to yourself, or write something and try to make yourself sound like an alpha. Now, if you sound like a pig or an idiot or something, then you're not there, you're just kind of lying to yourself. But you want to be a kind of more dominant, stronger version of yourself, but not like crazy. If you're like, oh, you know, sort of rude, and you know, it's basically, you should be wordy, you should be intelligent in what you're writing, you should be structured. Maybe it might be short and sweet, but it gets the point across. Them kind of things, where normally you might want to write a long email, and it might be seeming more feminine, see. And you might play a game whereby you act more beta one day and you act more alpha the next, and then there's somebody who think, well, they're what they call a kind of switch personality, where they go the lines. A bit like me, I'm probably in a switch, but it's more when I'm emotional that I'm probably on that other side of the spectrum. If I'm annoyed, I just get on and do things, and I don't talk to people. I can be stubborn. That's the alpha. While if I see someone suffering, I might be more compassionate, and that would be the sort of beta dynamics. So a fusion of the two, which is interesting. But I think neurologically, one side of my brain's probably slightly autistic, and the other side's is more abstract in its things. So the logic one just says do it. The abstract says, well, these are your options. So it's a lot different. Anyway, let's pick sign off. Have a great one. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.